Good evening, everybody. Tonight's Lightroom short is an opinion, like a lot of things in art or opinions, and it's about bad habits, things that I have seen over the years people do, and has made me go very grey very quickly. The next stage is losing a bit of this when I still see people doing these things. I have a sense of humour if you haven't gathered that. So I've got a list of 10 things. So if we'd like to have a discussion as we go through them, that would be brilliant. So without further ado, let's share a screen. Okay, so let's open Classic. So the first real big deadly sin is once you've imported images into Lightroom Classic, and this does not apply to Lightroom, so it's only Classic, you should not do anything to the image as a general statement outside of Lightroom Classic. Whatever you do to an image in Classic, and in my workflow, there are 4 things that you do in folders, but whatever you do, it will apply that to the image in the operating system. So, for example, we have this file name here with HDR at the end. So if I go to the metadata, and if I change the minus to an underscore and press return, we can see it's got an underscore here. Now, if I go right click and show in Finder, we can see it's made an underscore in the operating system. So anything that I do in Classic after I've imported an image, it mirrors that in the operating system, whether that is Mac or PC. To give you another example, I'm going to do this outside of Classic. So this folder, which is this image, so I'm going to go back to the grid view, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to drag this folder, just like I would do on a normal operating system, and I'm going to move it outside of Classic. So here it is here. It should be in here, in the 2023. And I will now click on here, go to the Develop module, and I've actually got a smart preview for this image, so I will be able to edit it. Okay, and we'll talk about smart previews later. But it's telling me on this image, I'm using a smart preview. It cannot find the original file. Okay, because it's been located outside or moved outside of Classic. So this is a classic example why you use smart previews. Okay, so I've lost that link. So let's just try another image. Let's click on this image. Let's go to the Develop module. And let's see. So this has got smart preview as well. So most of these I've got smart previews on. So it won't apply to smart preview. But this is, there we go. I've just clicked on it. I can't find the image. I'm using a smart preview. And I've now got to tell it to go and find it. That's because I've moved the image outside of Classic, and Classic doesn't know where you've moved it to. If I move it back, there we go. I've just moved it back into the operating system where it goes. Press cancel, and you can see that the smart preview has disappeared, the icon. I've still got, it's got the original now with smart preview. And that's just 2 examples. So if you've imported your images into Classic, do not manage the images outside of Classic. You will break the link between the catalog and the image. Okay? Everyone all right with that?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone got any questions about that?
No.
So you move them, you delete them, you rename them, all inside the library module, and it mirrors it in the operating system. Now, if you want to bring some images into Classic, but you want to do that in the operating system, that's fine. Do it in the operating system first. Set out how you want to keep them in the operating system. And then when you go to the import, you import and you'll just add them, because you're not going to move them or anything like that. And it will just add them in the location that you've done them. So if you use another application, for example, Nikon Transfer, it's an importing program that Nikon do, and that's your workflow, that's fine. Then you just add them to Classic. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So my preferred workflow. This is not me telling you how to do it. If we think about music, we think about our albums. So let's say on our smartphone or an iPod or something where we can control the music in playlists. So you might have an album that you've purchased or you subscribe to, for example, YouTube Music or Spotify or something like that, and you've purchased or you subscribe to an album. So could be Eurythmics or Duran Duran or Meatloaf or whatever. And there's a selection of images that selection of music songs that you like on there. And you create your own playlist. So you might have a playlist called Driving to Work in the Morning. And it's got your favorite upbeat songs from different artists. So Lovely Day, Happy, and other songs that get you in the mood for going to work. Okay. And that playlist is the same principle as a collection. But the album, all the songs by that artist is your folder structure. And that is the principles of folders and collections. So we can look at this folder. Those are all the images that I have taken on this particular day or year. So I've got 51 images here that were all taken on a particular day. Okay. But I only want a few of these that are my favorites. And rather than reorganizing these, I add these to a collection. And a collection is either an automated or a manual way of bringing images together that you like or that you want to work on or for any particular purpose. So to give you an example, I've got a smart collection here of keyword of cat. This is across, for this example, the whole of my catalog of images that have got the word cat on them. But it could be rating, it could be geolocation, it could be location in the catalog, as in what folder they're stored in. It could be a town, it can be whether it's black and white, or whether it's a landscape, a portrait image, whether it's a square image, what camera you took it on, and a multitude of those. So it could say, show me all the pictures of cats that I took in 2024 with this camera or in this location. And a smart collection will bring all those images together wherever they're stored or filed in your catalog. And then from there, right, that's my starting point. It doesn't matter where they're stored. That's my starting point. And I'm now going to create a collection. So I'm just going to call that collection cat. And I'm going to create it as a standard collection, as a target collection. So now I've used Classic and the power of the computer to bring all my images of cat in this example. And now I'm going to select the images that I want. And because this is a target collection, I can either press the letter B on my keyboard, or in this case, I've got the Painter can set as target collection on the drop down. And now I'm going to go spray on this one, spray on this one, spray on this one, spray on this one, and spray on this one. I'm going to put the tool back. And there is the collection of images. They're not duplicates. They're not additional files. They are links to the original files. But if I wanted to make a different type of copy of these images, I can highlight them all, press plus, create a new collection, call it cat2, and I can click selected photos, make them as virtual copies, and now create. And now I've got a second collection with virtual copies. And I could now turn around and say, right, let's take this image, press R for rotate, and I'm going to make it a square crop. So I'm just for example, there's my square crop. I'm going to go G, come back. I've highlighted all my images, sync settings, and I'm just going to sync the crop. So there we go, crop, aspect ratio, sync. And there we go. I've now got all square images. But these do not affect the original image. So I've used a smart collection to go and find all my cats. And now because these are virtual copies, they appear in there. There is my target collection of the originals. And there's my cropped images. But these are not additional files. They're links and references in the catalog. Okay? If you did this in Photoshop, you would have 5 extra images there and 5 extra or files. So you'd have 10 additional files. And if they were all 20 megabytes each, that's 200 meg. You've just filled up half a CD of images. Okay? They are virtual copies. And to show you, if I go right click, there's the original file, training 005, right click, show in Finder. And there's only one 005. This is a virtual copy. It references back to this file and applies the crop or any additional edits. Okay? Any questions about that?
No.
Deadly silence.
No, the cats with the tongue stuck out
Mm-hmm.
in your original folder, you
Mm-hmm.
had 2 of the same with the same
Yeah.
number.
Yep. So this one here.
No, down the one with its red tongue.
Yeah, that one there and that one there. Yeah. That could be, I've got a duplicated file.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that could be a duplicated file. So go right click, show in library. So there it is there. There's that file. There's the virtual copy. So if I go back, duplicate, show in library. Yeah, I've got 2. So one's in one location in 2023 and one is in another location.
Right.
So
okay.
I've got 2 files in that case. Okay, so that's the reason why. So that is an import error on my behalf in this catalog. Okay. What
was the bad habit?
The bad habit is not using collections, doing everything in folders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just working in folders. And what's the other reason why we work in collections? 2 other reasons. Monday, I told you all this on Monday.
You can use them in any module.
Brilliant, well done, David. I can use the collections in any module.
And you can share.
And I can sync them across any device or with any person. You can't do that with folders. Okay, so when in my workflow, I will use a smart collection to go and find the images. I will create a collection for my edits, and it will all be in a collection set, so they group together. And then I will start editing them as I want to edit them. And I will be going backwards and forwards between, I don't like that edit, I'll leave it there and I'll start again by creating a new virtual copy from the original edit. Okay?
Yep.
So, yes? Yes, Jay?
No, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So my next one is understand classics limitations. Now that statement varies. If you watch this a year later on YouTube, it will have changed. And 3 weeks ago, it changed. Okay? Because what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to create a virtual copy of this image here. Okay, so I'm going to take this virtual copy, and now in Classic, I can use the Erase tool, Generative AI, and Object Aware. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm going to drag down and just make sure I cover this stick, this lollipop stick, whatever it is. Okay, and wait for it to select the object. There's the object. And I'm going to apply, and it's going to erase that subject. The AI is going to look at that. That is a new functionality. Okay, boom. Go back to G, take the original item, press N for survey mode, press Tab to see them side by side. If I showed you that 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I would be doing that in Photoshop. Okay, I should have also highlighted this bit of the stick as well. Okay, but understand the limitations of what Classic is. Classic is a digital asset management and editing tool. Okay, it's not a manipulation tool. Okay, so if I wanted to create layers and different blending modes and composites, so I wanted to replace this sky. So if I go edit in Photoshop, so this should now open in Photoshop. There we go. Okay, so I now want to go sky replacement. So edit sky replace. There we go. Okay, and I want to replace it with, so wait for it to generate. It's generating a mask of selection. There we go. That is a manipulation. It is not an edit. Classic and Lightroom was as we speak today, 2024, it is not a manipulation tool, and I am manipulating the sky. So understand the limitations that Classic is an editing tool. Digital asset management manages your assets, videos and stills with an attached audio file if you so wish, edits them and shares them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take this image here. You can see I've got a color here on the background, and you can change the color. Okay, so I've got middle gray. If I then press Command or Control E, I'm going to take it into Photoshop, have this background here the same color. Okay, and how you can change that is you go to File, where is it? Settings, it's under usually. There we go, Settings, they've changed it General. You can change the interface background. Okay, and you can actually customize it. So you can click there and do it, or you can go right click and select your own custom color. So, and I think it's 545454 is Classic. All right, so there we go. So Classic, let's have a look. No, it's slightly different, slightly off, but get the colors the same. Why? Because when you dance between Classic and Lightroom, you're looking at the same image on the same background. Okay. So I need to adjust mine because this is a different login to what I usually do. Okay, everyone all right with that?
Mhm.
Okay. Whilst we're looking at exporting, Command E is the shortcut, or you can go right click and edit in Photoshop. To actually set the preferences, go to Lightroom Classic, or it might be File on the PC, Preferences, and go to the Edit, External Editing. So, firstly, Lightroom Classic and Lightroom has a color space of Pro Photo. In Classic and Lightroom, you cannot change that. And that is the widest amount of color information as the time of recording that is available. But you need to push the image from Classic or Lightroom to Photoshop using that color space. So the colors look the same from Classic to Photoshop. And this is where you adjust the profile. So you select Pro Photo RGB. Okay, then the colors will look the same. Whilst you're here, you can select the version, so a beta version or normal Photoshop version. Your file format, I always have PSD, but you may have a workflow that you prefer TIFF. 16-bit, so you have 16 channels of information per bit. 300 dots per inch is our printing format, and that is your settings for Photoshop. You can press Control or Command Command E, which is a second alternative external plugin. You can select from the drop down or choose the program that you want to open as an alternative. Okay, and again, you can set what you want it set to. So if you did a lot of black and white and you use Silver Effects Pro, you could select that from the drop down or from your choose list, and you'd select PSD or TIFF, color profile, 16-bit, 300 dots per inch. And when you press on a Mac, Control Command E, it will open it in that alternative editor. So you've got two external editors outside of Classic. Now, when you save an image from Photoshop, you just press save. It will make this PSD file in this case. And if you have this box ticked, it will stack it next to the original file. And if you do it from a collection, it'll stack it next to a collection, the image in the collection. So it adds it to the collection. And you can also add an addition to the file naming. So I have E, so I know at the end of the file name, whatever the file name is, it says -E, and then the count of how many times have I done it. And it tells me it's been externally edited outside of Photoshop. So while we're here, we did that. So that was one for a little bit later. Any questions about that?
No.
No? Okay. I see this a lot. We go to develop and we come to effects and details. It's in a slightly different order on this machine. And we add sharpening, but this is in the develop module. So it's what we're actually looking at. And we're doing the sharpening on the raw file in the catalog. But what people don't do is the pro rata amount of sharpening when we export. So we're taking the raw file, all the metadata, all the adjustments in the catalog, and we're then going to build a new file. But what we can do when we build those new files is we can add sharpening. Okay, so output sharpening. And what it does, it applies a pro rata amount, especially if we're changing the size of the image, an amount of sharpening. So are we sharpening for the screen, matte paper, gloss paper? Do you want standard amount of sharpening, low amount of sharpening, high amount of sharpening? And if I'm doing it for the web, it'll be on screen standard. That'll be it. And it'll just give a percentage, depending on how big the image is going to be. I might resize it to 3000 pixels by 2000 pixels at 72 dots per inch. So it's 3 by 2 and 72 for the screen. And then I'll sharpen it for the screen standard amount. I see lots of people not sharp, and they're not that crisp because they've done the sharpening in the develop module, but they haven't applied it on the export. Now, while we're here, presets. Has anyone got any questions about that export sharpening? No? No? Okay. So while we're here, presets. So we'll look at presets for export. If you export a lot of images in a lot of sizes, perhaps you have a photo club competition. Perhaps you do a lot for Facebook, perhaps Instagram. You can save this as a preset. So you could be doing 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels, screen sharpening it, and you can save this. So we're going to put this into a location on the desktop, export LRC. It's going to this folder. I'm not going to rename it. Okay, in this case, I'm going to do it as a JPEG as 100%. I'm going to set the color space for RGB, Adobe RGB. Okay, so for a normal screen, I'm going to add a watermark. Okay, simple watermark, and I'm going to show it in the Finder once I've exported it. And now I'm going to save that as a preset. So I'm just going to save it as square. Okay, so create, there's my square preset. So now, just for argument's sake, I'm going to select those 4 images there, export, export, I click on the square, and it's going to apply the export preset to those 4 images. Okay, away I go. And it's created the longest edge out of 1000, which is what I asked it to do. Okay, I should have done it as a square, but it didn't save it as a square. Okay, so save the preset. Okay, and it's the same with other presets. Import. We have metadata presets. So I'm in the import dialog. I can save a preset for all this information. Keywords. Who wrote the metadata? Who's the creator? Their contact details, your contact details. Who owns the copyright? Okay. Is there a headline? So you could photograph the same thing all the time, lots of times, that you go and photograph cricket at Taunton or something like that, or football or whatever. You can have this all as a preset, already saved. So when you go to import it, you just select the preset and it applies it, all that metadata on import. And you could have a whole long list. I've had in my workflows over years, like 30 presets down here. And I just go click. And when I go to an event, I set up the preset beforehand. So I used to photograph a lot of cricket. So it was Somerset versus Glamorgan at Somerset. And I'd put all the information, the cricket ground and the date and so on, etc., all in there. So when I imported it, the images, or they auto imported in that workflow, that metadata was applied. So, and what you can do is you can save the import dialog down the bottom here. There's a preset. You can save the, so rather than going click, 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 import, you can just go click here, preset. And that's excluding your develop presets. Okay, so excluding these presets over here, which is a stylization. Okay, so it's excluding those. Okay, we also have renaming presets. This is another little bugbear of mine. Renaming presets. Okay, you can select a preset to and how you want to have your renaming, because is what comes out the camera, is that relevant? Okay, so in this case, I've got a workflow of who owns the copyright, the date it was taken, the hour it was taken, the minute it was taken, the second it was taken, followed by the original file name. So I can tell from the image who owns it. Was I an employed stock photographer at the time? When I took it, the time I took it, and within the file of the camera, I rename them in the camera. It tells me what camera I was using. But that doesn't mean it's the name of the file when I export it. I could, on export, have another preset for file renaming of how the customer wants the naming. So it could be a wedding photographer and they bought a package of 60 images. You've taken 200, 2000, but you're only supplying 60, and it was Smith and Jones, and they would have a file renamed on export, not your original file. Your original file will be in Classic, your filing number, but it would have Smith and Jones 001, 002, 003. So they don't see that you've taken 200 images. They only see 1 to 60 because that's what they've paid for, 60. You're not giving them the opportunity to say, well, where's 58 and where's 72 and where's 96 and so on. So you can export renaming with a preset. Right? There's all these tools that we can use. So done renaming, done that, done that. And the last one, slightly ironic, is backing up. Back up your catalog. Okay? And you're only backing up your catalog. So you come to catalog settings. And if you look under general, this is where your catalog is stored. This is the frequency on this drop down of when it's going to do it. And this training catalog is once a week, but I'm going to change it until when I exit next time. And now I'm going to exit Classic, and it's going to pop up this window. I'm going to change it back to once a week. So it'll ask me again this prompt in a week's time from now. Where am I going to put the backup? It goes on an additional drive, or bare minimum, the drive that you're on that is in a cloud drive. So Dropbox or Google Drive and so on. So the file is stored in the cloud. Or in my case, it goes on to, I've got a 1 terabyte solid state drive that I put all my backups on there. My backups from my servers, my backups from OneDrive, everything all goes into that 1 terabyte drive, and my Classic one's in there. So if the worst scenario came, I could just unplug that one drive and I've got all my backups on there. This is how you choose the location it goes to. Okay, test the integrity, optimize your catalog, click, away you go. And there you go. About 10 bad habits that I see quite regularly not doing it. On one last point about backing up, when you back up your catalog, you're only backing up your catalog. You're not backing up your images. Okay? They are links to the images on your drive, and you need to have a backup policy, procedure, whatever you want to call it. So something like a copy, so a copying program, so GoodSync, there's other ones on the market, or using a cloud service, for example, Backblaze, for about £7, $7 a month. You can have unlimited storage in the cloud. I've been with them for donkey's years. I've got over 2.5 million files in there, probably even more on that, in the cloud, and it just sits there and constantly scans my machine and just uploads via the internet. Or you use, time backup on a Mac, where at a particular time each week it will look at your computer, incrementally back up and put them on an external drive. So you've got those as well. So there's lots of things. So when you back up your catalog, you're just compressing your catalog. You're not backing up your files, the actual images. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. But Backblaze, very, very good. The only negative thing about Backblaze is it relies on your upload speed of your internet connection. So if you're not fiber yet, it'll take a little while to upload them. Depending on how many you've got, several months, you just leave your computer on and it just chugs away in the background. And you can set a scheduled time. So you could leave it on overnight and say only upload overnight. So while your computer's on, it's constantly uploading. That's the only negative. If you're not on a fiber connection without 100 meg upload plus, it'll take a little while. But I'm uploading 2 images every second because I'm on a full fiber upload. Okay. The great thing about, if you've got Amazon Prime customers here, yeah, you've got Amazon Photo. You can download the Amazon Photo app, and you can tell it to scan your drives and upload them free of charge to Amazon's storage. And it will take your RAW files, your PSDs, your TIFF files, your JPEGs, and you only get 5 gigabytes of movies. So only the pictures. So you say only take pictures and take them from these locations. So it could be this drive, this drive, this drive. The Amazon Photo app will scan your computer and will upload them. The negative with Amazon Photo, it's free. You'll lose them if you don't keep your subscription going. But also, because it's free, what they call throttle you back. Throttling back is, I'm standing on my hose pipe in the garden and the water's dribbling out the end of the hose pipe. Amazon slow down the speed. You might be on, in my case, 120 meg upload speed, but Amazon will only allow me to deliver 4 meg a minute. I can send 120, but they'll only allow me to send 4. So the hose pipe I've trod on, is only letting me dribble in the pictures. So it will take a lot longer to upload. But if that's not a problem, it's free within your Prime package, then that might be your solution. But with me, with millions of pictures, I want them to up there quick, and I want to make sure they're backed up, because it's not if my drives fail, it's when my drives will fail. Okay? But Backblaze don't charge for volume. You pay a fixed price for the personal plan and as much as you want to put up there. They charge for per device, and it's about, you can get a 2-year, a 1 year, a 2 year, 3 year plan. My 3 year plan is just coming up to, and I paid something like $150 for 3 years. And that was pre-COVID. So now I think it's a little bit dearer than that. So, but yeah, highly recommend them. So there we go. Bad habits. Anyone, any questions?
No.
No? Helped?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Get your head around collections. Get your head how you can use a smart collection to find your images and then bring them into collections. Big time saver. Trying to find images. Your unique identifiers. Okay then. Well, that's it then. Recording will be up on YouTube hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, see
Yeah.
whoever on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Take care. Have a nice evening.
Thanks. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.